we're doing.
Daniel's not playing. Welcome to Sprockets. No, never mind. I guess only younger people will know what the Sprockets is.
Skibbity.
He's after the bell Sprockets. I can't speak German accents or anything.
Schweinhund?
Isn't that where they were from? Weren't they from Germany?
Hey, don't.
Potentially. It was too long ago.
Poland, but
yeah. Okay.
I thought they were Swedish, maybe.
All right, let's get serious here, but not really. I'm Darren with Arbitrage Trade, and this is After the Bell. It is Wednesday, and kind of a bloody day, but we'll talk about that later. My guests are Daniel Hopwood, ex-institutional wealth manager, Josh Morgan, the bank, a.k.a. JPM, a.k.a. my fellow ape, and our founder and CEO, Royce Wells, Mr. Quanticus Magnificus.
Grr.
Hey, is that from Bugs Bunny?
But I'll say that for later.
Okay. I'm the resident retail investor who's also an ape, and I've been called an ape. I've been called dumb money, and I've been known to throw poo at people who don't agree with me. So we are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. This is information provided for entertainment purposes only, and please always consult a real financial investment professional before making any financial decisions. Always do your deep dive and make sure they are financial professionals, I guess. Unlike Daniel anymore, because he's not.
Hey, his license haven't expired. They haven't expired.
If you go look at my FINRA account, you will see that I am not registered anymore.
Were you ever on the FINRA discipline? Are you on the? I used to look that up, the FINRA disciplinary actions every week, and post them. I used to do that actually. In my old days.
No, my account will not show anything of that.
Okay. No, Daniel Hopwood.
Left Goldman, U4 left Goldman Sachs or something.
That's right.
You used to work for
It's
Bernie.
usually X. When it gets to that point, it's always X. They used to work for them, but we're finding them now. It's crazy. And then they do not admit to, but they're gonna pay, like they all do. All right, so let's get this started. So I know when you wrote this, with your timing, that it says we continue to ride the wave. Today we had a little red tide come in. So, but you wanted to talk about gold. So maybe it's a golden tide that you're talking about, or a golden wave. Daniel, what are we talking about here? What happened? You got some facts for us, figures, stuff?
Yeah, well, before I went to bed and the U.S. markets opened,
exactly,
everything had been kind of riding a high. So, stocks had their 6th consecutive week of gains. That was the longest streak of the year. We had the dollar hit 104, which was weird that it was continuing to rise as markets were continuing to go up, because we know they have an inverse relationship.
Yep.
And, even the 10-year yield hit 4.2%, because a lot of traders are kind of thinking that we may not even get a 25 basis point cut, like we were promised originally. And ultimately, gold has been the one crushing it this year, and it went above 2,700 for the first time ever.
All-time high, yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't sell my dad's gold.
But do you know why?
Foremost, Royce.
Oh, I don't want to do that. That means I read stuff. I can't read stuff.
Well, we will now transition over to Royce, who also, he and I were talking about this earlier, actually,
in the
how much it was up.
Oh, yeah. In the foreign exchange market, basically, countries usually, they have like gold contracts that basically have futures contracts, right? Well, countries have actually been requiring and demanding receive the gold, instead of just basically letting the option contract go to the wayside. They're like, no, I need you to deliver that. You have to deliver the gold. So basically, like literally billions and billions of pounds and dollars of gold have been being delivered to these central banks, to these countries, as basically countries around the world stockpile gold in fear of recession. So that's basically causing the demand for gold to go up, and with the possibility of BRICS coming in and basically trying to unseat the dollar, a lot of people are scared. So yeah, gold's up at its all-time high, which is probably why I'm going to talk about it in crayons.
Right. If you listen to the three things today, which I know everybody in the country does, one of the things mentioned was that the BRICS meeting is happening right now in good old Russia, and that China, India, and I think some countries that the UN was, there was a question about whether the UN was actually going to go and actually appear like they're backing it. So it could be a fun week as far as that goes too. But, Daniel, you're talking a little bit about, and that's later, about Bitcoin and China relationship. What about gold? Are they buying gold maybe with that extra money they got? Possibly?
I know there was a lot of the central banks had a large increase, and there was a potential of like a gold-backed currency between China and Russia. But I do know it was probably a year ago now. China for a long time had a large purchasing program of gold. So I don't think this is a new trend for them by any means.
Gotcha. I'm still curious if it's actually really gold, because I know at one point there was silver. But I mean, seriously though, there was actually stuff delivered to people, and then they found out it wasn't even real. And then
mixed with nickel, mixed with lead.
Nickel was, exactly. And they found out later. It's like, well, why didn't you check that up front before you received delivery or something? I don't know, but
it weighed like it was supposed to. It just, when they
that's it.
Yeah, it's like, make it weigh this much. This is how much it should weigh. Take out the real stuff. Make it weigh what it needs to weigh.
So how much have you followed?
Darren, a fun tin foil for you could go down a conspiracy rabbit hole if GLD and SLV hold the actual amount that they're supposed to in there. There's
that's exactly
speculation behind that.
No, that's exactly where I'm talking about. The story that I was talking about. And this was a year ago or so that they were talking about that. It was that exact thing. That's what actually got me going.
People took delivery of their gold from that reserve, and it was fake.
Yes,
it was. Yes. They were substance fake. There were lead bars and mixed in with the gold and silver.
That is it. Yeah, or not even. Yeah, lead. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's out there, and of course we had that whole manipulation of silver and gold, which we know that everybody's doing it. So I say everybody. Josh, what are your thoughts there? Silver and gold. You had to hear it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, when I kind of read Daniel's notes, I guess I took a focus on something a little bit different, and about how typically things that are, things that move in one direction, and then you've got counterparts that would move in another direction. Those trends are kind of breaking down in a lot of ways. And you've mentioned, like the treasury yield, the DXY, like stocks, everything going up. And it just like, at this point, it's so far out of bounds, and there's so few explanations for what's actually going on, that the more I try to explain it, the less the more I'm on Darren's side with this tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff, because it doesn't, like, it honestly does not make sense. I mean, even just look at it from like, the economy is great and the world is prospering, and then the U.S. is doing excellent. And you look at, S&P's reached massive highs, and then you look at gold has hit historic highs as well. You got guys like Buffett who are hoarding cash and gold more than anybody else, and then you've got the rest of these hedge fund managers going on, MSNBC and Fox and everything, saying that these next few years are going to be some of the greatest that we're ever going to have, and we're like reliving the Roaring 20s. And there's just such a giant disconnect about what is like tangibly happening, and then the narrative that's being put out there.
Josh, something I read. Oh, sorry, Darren. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I read there was some report out from Darren's favorite company, Goldman Sachs, that said over the next, the next decade, right, the 30s, which feels weird to say, that the expected annual return of the S&P is like 3% instead of like 8%, the yearly 8% or whatever it is. And it's because we've done too well, and there's like no more room to do better because we're like pretty overextended.
One thing that's factor in is the fact that we still have not absorbed all of the inflation that was created when the money printer was in full force. Like we created so much that it's really, and it's created this disconnect in wealth that's squeezing out the poor, and everybody who can invest in the stock market is probably up 40 to 60%. But that 40 to 60% doesn't really, take into the fact that the buying power of the dollar is, let's say you've got $1 million portfolio. If you take that same portfolio and look at buying power back in like 98, that portfolio is really only worth like 500 grand. So yeah, it's up 40 to 60% in a lot of areas, but we're still not, we still haven't really gotten back to the basis of what the actual spending power of the dollar should be.
Yeah, Daniel, you're talking about those 10-year periods. And the other thing I've seen is that you can go back and look at other 10-year periods that did the same thing, what they call flat or just barely up or just stale for 10 years. So I think there was like 3 others that have happened in history. There could be more, but you can go back and look at just exactly 10-year periods. I say exactly about 10-year periods. So it's happened before, and it's always around the time of some big crisis, if you will. So like you said, things just don't make sense anymore. Not that they ever have, but it's even more so now. So and they're even starting to admit it. If you looked at the 3 things, I said something earlier about, hey, wait a minute, I said that. That's the way it was titled, and it was the fact that what was it about? It was something I had said here on after the bell that ended up being true, that they finally started admitting in the news finally. And I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to just constantly be finally some leaks and slow leaks, just like Goldman's now finally admitting. And we're going to start as we get closer to this election. Then after, it's like, oh, well, we were just kidding. And everything we said before. We got your money now.
Well, all the banks changed their end of year price targets to was it like 6,300 on the S&P? So, Darren, guess what? We're gonna have some more titles coming in that we're on the up and up. Okay. So you gotta deal with that. You gotta deal with that till the end of the year, because that's like, let me see. It's like 500 points from here.
It is. And remember that one thing I put out there about one of the guys saying we're going to go up to 6666. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We came from 666.
That's evil. That's evil.
Yeah. Believe me. Hey, I'm having to pray every week now because they're starting to show their face. They're not even hiding it anymore. Not that they ever did, but let's go ahead. Actually, it's a good segue here. Because you said crypto earlier, and you have a crypto tinfoil hat that you want to wear, which I guess I can see if I can get that from the same place I got my conspiracy hat. Go ahead, Daniel. What's this conspiracy crypto thing you have going here?
So this is me piecing together a bunch of things.
Okay.
And so I understand, and I fully admit that this is like purely conspiracy, and who actually knows what will happen, because none of this makes sense anyway. Right?
Someone knows.
Okay, so
never does.
We haven't seen big moves in Bitcoin or QQQ relative to the S&P overall. Especially, it was a very slow summer for crypto. Okay?
55, 65.
Retail,
kind of where we've been.
What?
We've been 55, 65 for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
In Bitcoin. Yeah.
It just went back. Very sad. Did not help my theory. But so crypto summer was really slow. Retail's been pretty out of the game. A lot of the flow is from ETFs buying up. They're still buying in pretty big amounts in institutions. And I think this HBO documentary that tried to unmask Satoshi was kind of like the bottom, if you will. Obviously, we're not at a price bottom, but like a bottom of action. And I think we've seen the likes of like, what is the Andreessen Horowitz guys saying they're going to support Trump purely based on crypto reasons. And I think the powers that be, of like, financial markets that now have skin in the game in crypto are really trying to prop him up to make sure he gets elected for pro crypto reasons. We've also seen a lot of the price action apparently come from Asia when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. It is not coming from the West, it's coming from the East. Right? And supposedly China is looking at unbanning cryptocurrencies. And I think this is all kind of a molding point of Trump to get elected, not really because they care about Trump getting elected, but to make Bitcoin rip. And that is my TED Talk.
Wow. So we'll say that instead of Russia, this time around, we'll say China then. Is that what you're getting at?
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, dude, they got TikTok. And if you go on TikTok, I don't have TikTok, but supposedly kind of all the like young people influencers are like everyone's pro Trump.
Well, there is a lot more. Yeah, I am seeing a lot more since they allow it on there and they don't get censored like in some other platforms. If they're trying to just
maybe
speak their
there's
mind.
a reason.
Yes, there is a reason.
You also got to think like Bitcoin in theory becomes big enough, helps destabilize the dollar, right? Other countries want
potentially.
that.
Okay, so there's a couple more like maybe logical explanations. Like you got to think back
Don't bring logic into this, Josh. Come on.
We don't want that. That's
Logic doesn't get clicks.
Okay,
Come
all right,
on,
fine,
what are you doing?
No.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, you got to think about in 2021 at the peak of the Bitcoin craze. Like, you look at just like search history for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and things like that. It was way up here in 2021, and then then you got to think about what happened in like 2022. You've got what was like FTX died, Celsius died. Like a lot of these sketchy exchanges finally got their, they were no longer able to create the loopholes that they were able to do, and so the whole thing crashed, or they ended up getting arrested or shut down or something like that. And a lot of retail money was tied up in that. I mean, that was hundreds of millions of dollars between those three or four exchanges that got shut down in 2022. So not only do you have retail has their money locked up, they can't trade, but then they get a bad taste in their mouth. And so if you look at the trends for the search on like just cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all little meme coins and stuff like that, I mean, it's way, way down. The only people that can afford to do it are the people that could lose the money to that exchange and still have enough to go invest in something else, or go to invest other funds into a different exchange or a different coin or something.
Yeah, is Reddit as popular as it used to be? Because I know that was a big part of it too. It's just Reddit just building up big.
I mean, it is, but again,
momentum, if you will, in any crypto. So,
well, yeah. In the flip side of it, it's kind of like now that big money and real and actual investors and hedge funds and stuff like that have really gotten into it. You got to think just anecdotally, like think about what happened in with Facebook. Like it was the cool thing to do when you were a kid. Like I remember being in college, and when we finally got Facebook on our campus, I was like, holy crap, this is cool as hell. And then 10 years down the road, like everybody else jumped into it, and like your mom and dad are on, and your aunts and uncles and your grandma is on, and you're just like, well, this isn't really cool anymore. So you kind of just killed it.
I'm so old because for me it was MySpace, and
hey,
Royce, come on now. You could have a song playing when you came to your site automatically. You could list your friends and who you like the most to the worst, like front page. I wonder how many friendships were lost. Let's go to AI trade. And Royce, is it still a thing? What's your opinion on that? I know you say go look at the charts, but
well, it's always look at the charts, but
yes.
Also touching back on the whole crypto piece before we get off that too much.
Okay, sure.
I think that basically a lot of people are very immediate in their thinking. Meaning, like, for example, Bitcoin, like you and I discussed earlier this week, Darren, that basically the final Bitcoin mining rig does not die. All Bitcoin will probably not be mined until 2140. So we're at 2024. So we still have literally over 100 years of Bitcoin mining before all of Bitcoin is in circulation. So that gives it plenty of time to basically potentially become a reserve currency for the dollar. And will we see it? Maybe in our lifetime, maybe not. But it is very, very much so possible, right? So while it goes up and it goes down, and they're like, hey, Bitcoin's going to be 100,000. Yeah, that may be, but that may be in 20, 30 years, not today. Right? So
like they get the price targets. They always get price targets that's intended for the next year whenever they do that. It's like this is for the next 10 years, I guess, or 100 years. Sorry, it's our price target.
and the next halving for Bitcoin happens, I want to say May of 2028, which basically now you're not even getting a full Bitcoin from the thing. I think right now you're getting about, you were getting about 3 until this last halving. Now you're getting about 1.6 if you're actually running a rig. And just a slight sidebar. Apparently, you can really run rigs really, really cheap in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Washington, and Texas. 4 to 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Just a sidebar, right?
Well, that raises a lot of other questions, but as to why.
Hey, that's just
we won't get into that.
That's what they're charging for their electricity. So, hey, if you happen to live there, you might want to get a miner. It might be good for your retirement.
So this is like the gold mining of the of California.
Prospecting is prospecting.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
But as far as the AI trade, I'm expecting Intel to actually potentially compete with AMD and potentially NVIDIA. I mean, now it's like if you see you're already in the chip manufacturing space, you're already in that space. Now basically you just say, okay, let's do some graphic cards. They have this many cores. We can do that. Matter of fact, IBM, I'm surprised IBM hasn't basically put their hat into the ring. IBM has a system called AIX. It's a different form of Unix. They have 256 cores on their processor. So that basically definitely competes with a GPU. So why not use IBM to potentially get into the rat race of AI? And, IBM has been around forever. They created the mainframe. They are the grandfather of all this stuff. I would love to see what IBM basically has to bring to the table. No one's talking about them per se, but they definitely have the backup funds and war chest to pump a lot of money into it, R&D hours, and potentially outpace NVIDIA and AMD easily. Right? So let's see. Is the race over? No way. Maybe the first leg, NVIDIA passed the baton. And I think to Daniel's point, he made a point that basically, I think he shared an article with us saying that basically compared Cisco and NVIDIA to the dot-com burst in 2008, right? Basically, NVIDIA does still have a lot of room to run, a ton of room to run, because basically it's not horribly overvalued. I think it's like 37-1 versus like 110. So, yeah, there's still plenty of room to run. Basically, we just have to make sure we pace ourselves and don't outrun probability.
I feel like it went more than that here in this last week or two. But yeah, and then you have to compare it to then versus now, like the entire stock market and what's going on. It's difficult to compare it exactly, like you said, to what their multiple was versus what NVIDIA's multiple is. I know we talked about that a little bit this last week. But all right, let's talk two things. Yeah. One is a 5-syllable word, and it's called monetization. Okay, so first you're going to have to put a lot of your money into it to get all of what you need, and that's buying stuff from NVIDIA and all the other places. But then now that you put all that money in, reminds me of like when Zuckerberg put all the money into the virtual world, which he's still doing. It's like, okay, I'm going to put all this money in it and use our margins, but at some point it's got to come back around. And you have to start getting money for what you've invested in. And we're still a ways away. And the experts will say that from monetization really happening. So they're going to play that game for a while. Then the other thing I was going to say, and I'll let you guys talk, is
I got a rebuttal for that too, though.
I'm sure you do. Is mergers and acquisitions. And that's what's going to happen too, is you're going to have these big companies that are going to buy out smaller companies, smaller AI companies.
If Lena Khan can help you.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to need Khan about the in this area for sure. In fact, I think you brought up something a little bit later, Daniel. It's like, oh, that needs a King Khan to look at it because it might create a monopoly. So, okay, Mr. Rebuttal, go ahead.
All right. So a lot of people basically in the .com crash, right? Everyone called it the .com crash, but it literally was just cloud version 1.0. When they came back out and started saying, hey, we're going to put stuff in the cloud, it was the same thing. Internet service providers were basically hosting things, and basically it was going from on-prem to off-premises, right? It was basically the infrastructure was not in place. Cisco had a lot of infrastructure out there, but literally the bandwidth wouldn't support it. Basically, the lines between the actual manufacturer and the internet service provider were not fast enough to deliver the data, and all of the data centers were not up to speed to basically carry the bandwidth. Once the infrastructure caught up to the hardware that Cisco already had out there, yeah, we got cloud. We have cloud everywhere now. So it's just basically looking at AI, this first iteration, yeah, there may be an AI bubble, but if it comes back, it'll be branded as something else. Maybe Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence.
Hey, no rebuttal from me. No, they're already doing that. Yeah, absolutely. How about
see how I split that for you, Daniel? That was just for you.
We can have arbitrage intelligence, which is AI as well.
Hey,
there we go.
There you go. We do have our own AI servers, by the way.
That's Pips. So Pips is our AI. So that's true. He is artificial, or not artificial. He is artificial intelligence.
He's artificial, and he learns from every single trade we perform. So
that is true. That is true. All right. Any other rebuttals before we move on for the judge? No. All right. So Uber. This is what I was going to talk about. King Khan. That's what it was. So good transition here too. Is and I think honestly, if a conspiracy hat, if you want me to throw that in too, since we already had one, is eventually this is all going to be tied to X, because X is Musk has said for a long time he wants a super app that does everything, which is what China already has. I think China already has it, to where it's just if you want this or that, you all go to the same app. And I do feel that is his ultimate goal, and so maybe it's going to involve Uber. And now you want to talk about Uber and somebody else, right?
Yeah, so they're reported to be considering acquiring Expedia, which is where the CEO of Uber came from originally. He ran the business there for, I believe, about 12 years. And, there's a lot of kind of like speculation on whether it'd be good or bad. And, if it got through the FTC, which I don't think they would let the acquisition happen, I think just solely based on the Uber CEO being the previous CEO of Expedia, it could be one of the greatest acquisitions of all time, because he grew that business, which, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, we don't really think about where we book flights, right? Like I personally only book flights from Google Flights, really, but Expedia has like 4 different, companies under it. And he was able to grow the business by like a significant amount over that 12 years. But investors are really concerned that the acquisition would be for $20 billion, which would be Uber's largest acquisition ever. And their current market cap is 170 billion. And if, I think we all agree that maybe things don't feel great in the real economy, right, versus Wall Street, I don't see Uber's market cap going up, because more people aren't going to have rides if things aren't too hot.
Hey, maybe they're booking planes. You never know.
Yeah, how many offerings is Uber going to do now?
Start booking planes.
No, you're right, but that's it. Everything to connect to everything else.
Theory is an all-in-one, like travel app, right? Super app. So you book your Uber to the airport, where you took your flight from the Uber app to Uber to the hotel that you stayed in.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And then order your food once you get to the hotel from Uber.
So I'd be curious though, like, would you guys actually do all your booking through Uber?
It would be convenient. Why wouldn't you? If you have everything under one pane, why not? That's what
keep it in the bubble. Yeah, absolutely.
Pie in the sky. Pie in the sky. If I can get everything and don't have to basically do this, and this, and I don't have to share my credit card information with one company.
Yep.
I know who to go out.
And that's the thing, and that's what Elon's doing. He wants to do it, and it'll be interesting. You heard it here. Elon is eventually going to work with Uber, and they're going to create a conglomerate, or whatever you want to call it, when two companies get together like that. I just have a feeling.
I think Elon would team up like that, though. I don't see him as a big team up kind of guy.
Yeah, because he wants to get to that goal, just like he has the goal to get to Mars.
Remember, Google's
people
out
living
there under Alphabet, right? And they basically formed the conglomerate and basically put everybody underneath it. And why not? He wants to be he wants to be just like Steve Jobs. He wants to be just like the makers of Google, right? It's like, hey, he's the richest man in the world. He wants all the toys.
Sounds like Sam Altman too.
Like if he was really Daniel smart about it, like you could avoid the whole monopoly situation and just essentially run some sort of arm of Uber, kind of the same way that Expedia operates, because Expedia is just an aggregator. Like they don't actually, they don't own anything. They just sit there, it's kind of like a Google search. They're just bringing all of the best data into one area. So yeah, I mean, he could realistically, given his experience with Expedia, he could realistically, if he runs it right, bring more of an aggregator thing into that particular app. You'd have to get those individual entities to buy in, which is always the key. Yeah. And, because they're going to want to know what their stake is in it other than you bring traffic. And so, you could realistically pull that off, but
if you add AI to that whole mix, and let's say, for example, you got a plane, your plane's delayed, the Uber that you had that's going to be bringing you to your hotel, since the plane's delayed, it can actually let the Uber know that's going to be late, so they know either to be there or not, or if they can pick up more routes. In the meantime, your food that you were going to order, basically every time you go out of town, you always order from this particular place. When you're in this town, they literally just aggregate all the data and it's like, hey, do you want to do that? One button, basically convenience.
The downside here is
connected to the airport. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, downside here is like the root of the Uber business model, which is go cheap, make it affordable, get everybody sucked in, and then slowly increase your prices until you're profitable. And then not only back to square one, but possibly worse as far as pricing is concerned.
Well, don't forget the main piece of money making is literally not you. It's the data that they sell on you. Right?
Sell it. Just make my rides cheap again, like when Sequoia was subsidizing all of my Uber rides back in 2018. Okay,
right.
That's all I want again.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. That's all they were doing, was just trying to squeeze out the competition by making something so cheap that nobody can compete.
No one can compete, and they've had size to back them up.
Once everybody's gone, then consumers are stuck with this one option. Essentially, I mean, I know you've got Lyft and I think there's another one, but realistically, that Uber's kind of the option as far as like ride sharing is concerned. And then now they're doing delivery and food and all. I mean, even doing, I don't know if you've noticed, but even on their app, you'll see little pop-up restaurants, these little shell companies that don't actually exist.
The ghost kitchens.
The ghost kitchens.
Yeah, don't forget.
It's one little small sub-menu of different restaurants so they can quickly and easily get food in and out with just that, tiny 4 or 5 item menu.
I was going to say, don't forget they're competing with Instacart in some ways too, because I did work for Uber Eats. It was tough, man, but tears your car up. But anyway, there's your other thing, is that Elon Musk, and you can actually lease a Tesla to drive for Uber. So it's not like he doesn't have his foot in the door already with that. So that's what I'm saying. I just think eventually it's going to happen. But like I said, it's not just that. It's also grocery store shopping and Target. I went to Target. I was sent to you basically can shop like you can with Instacart now with Uber. And that's why they have those stupid commercials where someone's pulling a pencil out of their bag and they're eating it. It's silly. It really is. But that was the point for that anyway.
Yep. And I've seen stuff for pharmacy pickup as well as alcohol delivery. So they're basically touching all of the facets. And I want to see how they compete with the FedEx, Walgreens business model that they have with their minor hubs. Because I know that basically between Walgreens, Walmart, and FedEx, basically with their conglomerate of things and their delivery system that they've also been trying to deploy over the last few years, this might be interesting.
There's an update to that, Royce.
There's an update.
Guess who said it on, or who reported it on the three things this week?
That guy.
Yeah, that guy again. But Amazon and Walmart have formed Amazon and Walmart have formed a partnership now for same day delivery to prescription. So
that is terrifying.
It's all starting to just piece
big
together.
Drug cartel. Got it.
Uh-huh.
Same day drug. That means who's verifying this?
I mean, they already do it. I mean, there's already same day. Walgreens does it
first.
CVS does it. Walgreens does it. It's just now Walmart's going to do it, and they're going to utilize Amazon. Z. Yeah.
Well, Walgreens and CVS seem like they're about to go out of business every time I read a news article about them.
That is a whole nother. Well, they are as far as their storefronts, and they're moving more towards non-four walls. And just taking that, just like a lot of companies, which is being hidden really well by the media. That's why I always try to bring it up when I see it.
Commercial real estate is not the place to be right now.
No.
If I had to put my finger on any type of bubble that's about to burst, it's commercial real estate.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that for a while. That is what it is, and they're hiding it very well, and they're letting it leak out a little more and more this time. All that aside, I just wanted to throw. I did look it up. Nvidia's price to earnings right now is 67, and the median for S&P 500 is 15. So you can kind of do your percentages there. But moving on, it is real-time adjustments here on the show. America's still number one, says Daniel, says Bitcoin Applehead.
I'm with him.
Give us the numbers. Give us the numbers.
Okay.
I mean, I know the dollars. Did it hit 105 or is it around?
Oh no, it got really, really close though.
Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
So this doesn't have anything to do with the dollar. This is just U.S. World dominance. Okay,
resilience.
So, American exceptionalism, as they like to call it. So in the 1990s, U.S. accounted for roughly 70% of the G7 countries' GDP. Right. So if you add them all up, we're like 40% of it. Now we're 50. Okay. So even though we're, supposedly kind of
market share from people.
Yeah. Like less important, we've still gained, 10% over the last 25 years. We have 40% higher economic output per person than Europe and Canada, and 60% higher than Japan. Right. So obviously,
that's because we work way too much. But not here at Arbitrage Trade. Not here at Arbitrage.
Especially on Wednesdays.
If you want to be the world superpower, you kind of got to put in some work. Okay.
Oh yeah. Automation, AI.
The question, the interesting part is that when you look at other things like education, America is often falling behind or we're last. And if you look at us politically, we have all the tall tale signs of a falling empire. But it still seems like, as far as, a world economic superpower, we're still, pretty up there. I won't say in the lead, right? China's probably become significantly more competitive with us, but we're still number one by a margin. And so, I'm curious what the potential tipping point is that you guys think might, either knock us off or just allow us to keep on ripping.
All right, so that sounds very nice. In fact, too nice. And it just, Mr. Narrative here, Mr. Narrative here, you really believe those reports? I mean, come on. You really believe that all the things you just rolled off are that everything's being reported correctly and that we are at a certain level and everybody else is not? I mean, I'm just going to say,
remember,
I'll put my section.
It's our currency.
This is not he said it's not a dollar thing. So,
it's the world reserve currency, though.
Yeah.
As long as the person who has the goal makes the rules. And as long as the dollar is the dominant currency in the world and it's being supported as the world's bank's shining beacon, when everything else can go to hell, as long as the dollar doesn't, the world economy.
No, that's true. But GDP is what this was based off of, is the GDP. And if you believe export, imports, etc., all of that goes into a GDP, right? I mean, the economy of the country I understand how important the dollar value is.
I mean, the production creates
there's more
value.
to it than that. Yeah.
But is it? And this is why I say this. This is why I say
You
this,
believe
right?
production numbers are accurate too? But go ahead.
Well, it depends on whose numbers you believe, and this is an inflationary thing, because every time you convert from the U.S. dollar to whatever currency, basically everything is measured against the dollar, since it is the reserve currency. Gold,
Right.
silver, everything gets its value based on that dollar, right? So if you don't like them, you can say, you know what, it has to be imported in your currency, not the dollar, and that hurts them more than it hurts us, because that means they potentially not use their currency anymore. You have enough. We basically have enough pull in our import and export rules to basically say, you know what, this has to be in your currency. We don't want you using ours. And basically, you can force them to do, and that's basically one of the reasons why China and Russia and India and who did I forget? China, Russia, Brazil are basically saying, screw you guys, right? Screw you guys. We have gold, but even gold is backed by the dollar, right? Until they basically, all the countries have to agree, all the central banks have to agree to basically unthrone the dollar, and that can't happen overnight. That's literally would take a 20 to 30-year process, because basically you have to literally put whatever you're going to put in place as the litmus against everybody.
Yeah, and then the U.S. will have tariffs on all of those countries that go the other way, I'm sure.
Yeah, and are your tulips worth as much as they were worth, in the tulip crisis? Probably not.
I mean, even as I understand
Amsterdam
it,
reference.
Every foreign, I don't know if it's every single one of them, but the vast majority of foreign exchange transactions get converted from currency A into the dollar into currency B, because converting it from A to B, or I guess it should be A to C in that analogy, it's more difficult to convert. So the numbers get off.
Exactly. And as long as the dollar's there,
everything everything is measured against the dollar, and that is all because of America being number one, and because again, our GDP, our production, our businesses, all of that. I mean, and if it wasn't for that, the BRICS thing is kind of interesting. It could throw a little bit of a wrinkle in there, especially if some countries see a gold-backed currency as something a little bit more stable than ever since we've gone away from the gold-backed currency. So that could be interesting, but again, like Royce said, that's going to take 20, 30 years to play out.
It's not going to be like, hey, tomorrow we're on Bitcoin. No.
Darren, I want to know, if you don't believe in these numbers, what do you believe in?
It's hard to believe anything anymore. The good book, I guess that's about all I've got left now.
He believes in fairies. He does.
That's right. I don't even believe in the Los Angeles Raiders, or now Oakland Raiders anymore.
Are you calling the Raiders fairies?
I mean, Las Vegas Raiders.
That's
sorry.
Good.
I don't believe in anything that I used to believe in. Wow.
Nobody believes in the Raiders.
Yeah,
or the Razorbacks.
Pretty sad.
Whoa, hey.
That
Tennessee fan right there disagrees.
He converted to the Masters this week.
I was just picking on you, Josh. I like the Razorbacks.
I had another Razorback polo I was going to put on, but I figured we'd suffered enough for one week.
Hey, we beat Bama, so I'm past that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So yeah, I was going to say you should like that. Daniel, you touched on it, the dumbing of America, and I do believe that is because you're talking about the universities and stuff, and there is evidence that our overall intelligence, if you will, in this country is going down pretty quick. And I do believe that that's a purposeful thing, and this is a conspiracy hat for the last time in this After the Bell, I promise. But
you feeling okay?
2030.
Give them some smelling salts.
I'll bring it up again. 2030 agenda. People get together. They decide how they're going to make America weaker again, if you will. And so was that Mawa? There is if you want America to play nice now and force them to play nice, you have to bring them down to your level. And I do believe there's a concerted effort from a lot of world leaders to make that happen. And they all meet I've already said this before now, 2 weeks in a row. They meet in Davos at the WF every year, and they discuss where are we? Where have we come from in this Agenda 2030? And what do we have left to do in this Agenda 2030? And I'm going to keep saying that because I'm saying, if you don't believe me, go look down that rabbit hole. Just look up WF Agenda 2030. It's all spelled out. You have to look for it, but you can certainly read down in all those lines and see what is happening, already happened, and what's going to happen in the next, what do we got, 6 years now?
You don't subscribe to Gaia.com, do you? I just need to know.
Who? What?
Nothing.
I don't know. What all right, let's get off of this crazy fantasy world, I guess, in three of our minds, and go to the crayons. So let me get the graphic up. We've got crayons and charts with Royce Wells, brought to you by Arbitrage Trade.
You make it down there. That's like $300 an ounce. That means that's almost a 90% devaluation of gold. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but I do, from where we are, just a mean reversion should put us around $1,800 per ounce. That's literally a $900 per ounce cut just to go back to basically the mean before it tries to maybe push higher. The crazy thing is our biggest bands in the system, they're already out of probability. We touched this 27.16. We touched this 22.72. Basically, the edge of the system is saying there is no room out here, and we have to go back. Basically, so I'm going to go down to the weekly chart. Guess what? They're literally going to the tippy top everywhere. So that's the monthly chart. This is the weekly chart. If you notice on the weekly chart, there's a red X right there. So we're actually just about to begin our descent down, which means it's about to head that way. Let me turn off this guy, bring it up, and show you basically what we're seeing here. This is on the daily time frame. About 4 or 5 days ago, we had basically reached a brand new tippy top, as they say. And the last couple of days, it's been basically retracing. See that black line in that arbitrage band? Basically, it's saying we're out of room. Anytime that line gets there, the candles literally are drawn like a magnet and have to retouch. So basically, we're still there, and it's just skipping rocks, trying to maintain that line. Unfortunately, you can only do that for so long. So this is our 4-hour time frame. And on our 4-hour time frame, things are not looking good. The compass is literally approaching. We see that basically the compass has been underneath that RSI line, the red line, for quite some time. And the only way we can get a downtrend is if the trend bottom penetrates underneath the black RSI line when it's sitting in deflection and danger zone of our arbitrage band. And basically, this is creating a perfect recipe for some red and some blood. Looking at our dashboard, 27.10, that's the arbitrage band. That's the first guy that says, hey, you got to touch that if you want to continue an uptrend. But knowing that the weekly, the daily, and the monthly are basically on the very edge, we're probably going to wind up seeing the apocalypse band get all the way down to about 25, 26. Bring this guy back into our purview using the apocalypse band on this 4-hour time frame. Basically say, how far is that? That's pretty far. Basically, we have our orbit line sitting at about 2,600. Anything under 2,600, watch out below, because these candles are way too far from the pink line in the apocalypse band, which can't leave. And like I said, every time it gets too far, it has to come back. And right now, we're too far. So looking for evaluation probably before the end of this year to reach somewhere near 25, 27. All right, that's all I got, guys.
All right, that was Gold Spot, the chart, crayons and charts by Royce.
Who wants a 10% correction? We do.
Well, you're saying that it might happen after an election? No. We'll see what happens.
Hey, uncertainty makes people basically say bet, and they'll play chicken with the market. Once the decision has been made, they're like, okay, that ride is over. Sell the news like you're supposed to. And yeah, so once a decision has been made, good or bad, that uncertainty is gone. You're no longer playing chicken. Now you're wasting money if you're just hanging around. So take the profit that you've made. We're up 12 months from previous, right? From October to October, 39%. The S&P is up 39% since last October. You would be a fool not to take profit after this election is decided.
Yep,
So,
yep.
hey, take the money
Again,
and run.
again.
Get
Once
your
it gets-
bag.
again. Yeah. So that was gold. Gold's at its tippy top, and is basically what he's saying. And that's on the every time frame you can look at.
Monthly, weekly, daily. It's like literally you're sitting in a wrestling match against the ropes, ready to sucker punch somebody, and they're just waiting for the sucker to step in front.
All right, try not to be a sucker. That's what Royce is saying.
That's the message.
Take your profit. Don't be a sucker. Take your profit. Well, he's not
And
giving
don't
advice.
buy
He's
the
just
top.
saying, yeah, never buy at the top like Nvidia. So okay, we're gonna move.
$58. That's still my target.
All right. All right. So we have some celebratory action to happen now for one of us.
I mean,
Maybe
yay.
two. I guess two. By default, two. My fellow ape Josh was the winner, and man, he had it. It was safe all week. He wasn't worried at all. I mean, all week it was in his channel, and he had his feet kicked up on the desk, and he was sipping some type of I don't know a drink with an umbrella in it. I saw that. I don't know.
He was trying to give you an SRM or something midweek. I don't know.
That's right, Salesforce. Just kidding, by the way. Actually, it was very, very fun last few minutes to watch as Josh's top of the top of his channel was 300, and it hung out, and Royce was kind of taunting all week, and
I was not taunting.
He already made he had already. In fact, what's funny is he made 2 charts for the scorecard this week. And he goes, it's kind of like, just in case Josh, might happen to win.
I printed them off because you noticed I was a little bit late for after the bell.
I know. I'm messing with you, Royce. This is for being able to choose last week. Oh, and we lost Josh. The winner.
That means it defaults to me now.
Oh, no, it goes to the fellow teammate, doesn't it?
He doesn't even feel like he needs to participate.
It goes to the fellow teammate, I think. All right, I'll pull up the scorecard, and as you can see there now, it is if we go individual, it's Royce 3, Josh now 2 in second place, and then Daniel and I are hanging at the back. But if we go by teams, we still have the Quants or the Quantitudes are in first with 4, and the Apes are in second now. Well, we've been in second. There is no third. The Apes are in last with 3. So,
that's right. Call it as it is, Darren.
Yeah,
this is an important loser. Not this week. So anyway, yeah, Royce, by the way, was the one that had it in his hands. Is like, take this from my dead hands, and Josh did at the very end with 2 minutes to go in the market. I think it was crazy. We're gonna move on to what Josh did pick, and in his absence, he can watch this back later. But it is HCA, and we're going to stay on that gold trip here, Royce. Is that what we're doing? No, this is healthcare. Okay.
This is healthcare.
All right.
All right. I guess you guys want to know the range.
Man, he can't pick, can he?
No, ha, ha, ha.
Unless you guys look at Mattermost, see if he puts in something, or type him real quick and see if he will. He has to know the range too, I guess.
Yep.
I would say it is his pick, so it is somewhat important.
It's about a $20 range, so from $420 to about $400. So each person gets $5.
$5. Huh. I wonder if we can.
Not on.
Is he on?
Sorry, Royce. Can you repeat the range again?
It is $400 to about $420. And I'm also bringing up these charts so you can see it at the monthly scale, at the daily scale, and at the weekly scale. So basically, it's pulling an Amazon, just going to the sky.
Really tight, though.
Huh. No comment.
The channel is tight. What's this? Oh, that's after hours. Say the spread's 44 right now.
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock Central Time. Well, you know what? He may. I mean, I know where I want to go.
Okay, where do you think he would go if you gave him first choice, or do you want him first choice and then?
Man, I don't want that on me.
Oh no! It is your destiny. There he is. All right, just in time. You're about to steal your pick, brother.
I was not. In fact, I was refusing to. Yeah, I don't think he's completely back yet, is he? Can you hear him?
Yeah, I see him. I hear him.
Hold on, I gotta recopy your link and see if it'll come up on the on this then, because you went away and came back. So let me do this real quick. I mean, we can hear you. You can go ahead and talk.
And Josh, you get to lead us out. Where do you think it's going? 400 to about 420. $5 range each. Yeah. It's currently at 410. Okay. I like it. All right. And who?
So that should make this extra spicy.
Oh, excellent.
You just popped in now on the overall screen, Josh. So what did you do? What'd you do, Josh?
He did 410 to 415.
Yes.
All right. I knew whatever he picked, I was going to go higher. So I will take the I'll take the 415. And hey, we're going to do it like they did to us last week. We're going to have
whoa, Darren, we're going to assume you get to go next.
Yes, because he said it earlier. 410 to and up was what we'll have basically. So because I'm going to take 415 to 420 and 415 and up.
Okay.
So,
I already know where Royce is.
I can't read Royce's poker face if he's happy or mad. So. All right. Who's next, Josh?
All right.
Yeah, Royce can go. We'll leave Daniel for last always.
All right.
That's why we only have one, Daniel.
405 to 400.
See, Darren, it's not really a competition between us. It's a competition between
405 to 410. Okay.
Wow.
I know 405 to 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but that means you're giving Daniel 405 to 410.
Oh yeah, Daniel got 405 to 410.
But as a team,
I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Watch this. This is why. Y'all still looking at the screen?
Oh, hold on then. Let me switch over to crayons again then. All right, I'm pulling up why, because he's going to give us why he picked that.
Okay. You guys see this?
Oh, I know. Like that's the one I was interested to see where you're going to go with this, because long term it looks really toppy. Like
it's extremely toppy. I'm expecting it to honestly wind up in Daniel's range. He's the favorite right now, about 408.
But if you go down, if you pinch it down to like 5 minute, 15, 10, starts to look a little bit uncertain in the near term.
No, that's certain. Everybody's in the danger zone. Everybody's in the danger zone.
Now get down to like
this guy's in the deflection zone. He's not even pretending to be in the danger zone. So I mean, those candles have to touch that line.
That's the hourly though. That's like next month.
I'm zooming in, right?
Okay. All right.
So 400 is the bottom of this channel. So that means I'm expecting it to either bounce and stay in my channel or wind up somewhere in Daniel's channel by the time we get to next Wednesday. So thank you.
Let's hope these earnings are bad, baby.
No, they probably.
Woo!
I say it's still going to be good up until election day. This market's still going to keep going up, and everything's going to.
Did you hear me, Darren? It said ooh ah.
Oh boy!
Look at that! Look at that RSI line supporting that right at 40109.
Gotta go back.
That sweet RSI, huh?
Sweet RSI.
That's what I'm saying. Like you get down to these couple of really, really short-term charts, and it looks like we could do a little bit of continuation.
Yeah, we just need 6 days. I mean, and only what is that?
But if you get there too quick, just like CRWD, it got to 318, and where to go? It literally lost all of that.
Bottom dropped out.
Yep. So don't top, because top means you're coming down. It doesn't stay there. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. All right. I think we've had 3
Oh boy,
songs.
he's singing again.
If you count the beatboxing at the beginning, I think we've had 3. All right, guys. It was a good one. It was actually a little bit longer than we did last. Well, actually a lot longer, I think. But we covered a lot. There's a lot of important things happening between now and Election Day. And so it was a lot to cover. And we will see what happens this weekend. They always love to put good, juicy stuff out on the weekends so nobody hears it. And then we'll get back at it next Monday and then have it after the bell on Wednesday. So thanks for seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Let's go, Quantitude.
Oh, I won't. Okay, that's the outro.
No.